We've been talking a lot about Scarlet and Violet, and now it's time to take a break and look at what the top 10 cards of the Sword and Shield era looks like currently. Most of us here already know what cards will be in the top 10 more or less, but there has been some movements, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to look at it today. And the first card that we are going to be looking at today, the number 10th spot, is Lugia V alt art from Silver Tempest. And obviously I am super excited to see this card make the top 10 because it's one of my favorite cards. We've talked about this probably in several videos now, that Lugia V alt art from Silver Tempest is one of my favorite cards from the Sword and Shield era. Currently priced at $198.50, we'll call it $200. It is taking the number 10 spot, and that is the benchmark. So you need to be literally at about $200 or more in order to make the top 10 in the Sword and Shield era. Obviously, this card still has its playability, but I think it's going to continue to have a little bit of a decline at one point. Then it will go back up a little bit once the set gets even older. But right now, Lugia V takes the number 10 spot at about $200. Next up is Leafeon Vmax from Evolving Skies. Yes, that one takes the number 9 spot. And obviously there's going to be a lot of Evolving Skies cards in the top 10 of the Sword and Shield era. And the first one that comes up is Leafeon Vmax, the alternate art. This one hits close to home for me because this is the first alt art card that I pulled from the Evolving Skies set. It is a beautiful card. You've got a whole bunch of other Pokemon there. I'm not going to say them all, but there's even a Kangaskhan just hiding right there somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where. I'm going to let you figure that out. But honestly, one of my favorite cards as well. Definitely makes my top 10 cards from Sword and Shield era. And I'm glad to see it's still in the top 10. From a price point as well. So currently going for around $250. So again, a huge bump from the first one. We were at $200, now we're at $250. So the 9th place card is at $250 currently. Again, I'm not gonna be looking at the graded versions of any of these cards because that just goes all over the place at this point. I'm just gonna be focusing on raw copies and what the market price is currently. So again, Leafeon Vmax from Evolving Skies takes the number 9th seed. Following one of the evolutions is another Leafeon Vmax alt art. So this one over here is not from Evolving Skies, should have been honestly, but it's from Fusion Strike. This is a beautiful card as well. I love the artwork, the whole futuristic outlook on it. This card is a favorite of mine recently because I sent my cards to get graded and it came back in a PSA 10. That's right, a PSA 10, which is even more expensive than what the current market price is of a raw card, which we see here is at $308. But again, a beautiful card. Another one of these evolution cards that's just obviously going to be killing it with the price point. Currently taking the 8th spot is Leafeon Vmax, and it's valued at $308 currently for a raw copy. Next up in the 7th spot is Glacial Vmax from Evolving Skies once again. Now this one is only a few dollars more than the Espeon, so we're talking about $315, $308, so that's about $7 difference here. So again, Glacial Vmax going for $315. Again, it has the same vibes as the Leafeon Vmax with all the other Pokemon just kind of hanging around it. Beautiful card as well. Again, another favorite of mine because I got it in PSA 10 as well. Very hard to get cards that are from the Sword and Shield era in PSA 10, so whenever that happens, it just gives you an extra nice feeling about it. So again, we're not looking at those prices today, we're just looking at raw copies. But again, another beautiful card, another card from Evolving Skies taking the 7th spot is Glacial Vmax. Next up is Gengar Vmax alt art from Fusion Strike. Now this one is a little bit interesting as it's in the 6th spot, and I really thought that this card would have been probably in the top 4 right now. But again, it has had a little bit of a dip. Still one of the biggest chase cards from the Sword and Shield era, but it's currently 6th in all of Sword and Shield. A beautiful card, chase card of Fusion Strike, number 1 card obviously, Espeon making it number 2. Right now, this card is the 6th most expensive card from the Sword and Shield era. Next up is Leafeon Vmax taking the 5th position in the top 10 of the Sword and Shield era. Now this one is only a few dollars more than Gengar. We're looking at $349, but technically it boots it out, so it does take the 5th position. This one is also a nice card, but again, it's not my favorite one of the evolutions. And there could also be a shift between the Gengar and a few other cards as well, moving the Leafeon into probably a 6th or 7th, moving Gengar up. It really depends on the day that you look at this, but as of right now, Leafeon Vmax is taking the 5th position. Not my favorite one of the evolutions, but still a nice card. I did get this card graded as well, got a PSA 9. Yes, Sword and Shield era has some very bad cuts, it is what it is. PSA 9, we'll take it. And now we're into the top 4 of the Sword and Shield era, and the 4th place goes to Blazin Vmax alternate art from Chilling Reign. Again, very close in price with Leafeon, Gengar, just beats out the Leafeon by about $5. It's a nice card, honestly. Like, again, we've talked about this card a couple of times here. It's got some really nice colors. You've got other Pokemon in it as well. I just like it when cards are having other Pokemon involved in it as well. Like, you know, Venusaur and Charizard, Mewtwo V-Star Charizard. Obviously here we've got the Antillion gang. We looked at some of the evolution cards with Kangaskhan and Vaporeon, Eevee, all those Pokemon within the card. It's just a really cool idea. I like it. Maybe some people won't, but for me, it's definitely something that I dig. So of course, Blazin Vmax has had quite the climb this year. Again, all of these Sword and Shield era booster boxes and products are getting a little bit more expensive in price, so it's making the cards in these sets go higher. And that goes towards all the other cards. But again, we all kind of already know that, so I'm not going to continue to elaborate on that. The whole point is that most of these products, such as Chilling Reign booster boxes, Evolving Skies booster boxes, Lost Origin, they've all gone up in price. That helps the price point of the singles go up as well. Next up is Gutina V alt art from Lost Origin. Now, this one was actually in the 2nd spot, and this is really one of the reasons why I'm doing this, because I also wanted to know what the top 10 looks like, because there's been some changes, right? So Gutina V was actually doing really well a little bit earlier in the year, and it was actually at $480-ish, but it's gone down by almost $100. It's at $390 now. Again, there was some FOMO, obviously, a little hype. Oh my God, Lost Origin is selling out. We need to get this card. Everyone flipped out, went crazy, and now the price has gone down. We may see that with some of the other cards as well, but Gutina is the first culprit of that. We went from $480 to $390 in about a month, so about $100 decline on this one. Still keeping it in the 3rd spot though, which is quite crazy. So even with that decline, it still holds a podium position and takes the number 3 spot. Into the number 2 spot, one of my favorite cards from the Sword and Shield era is the Rayquaza Vmax alt art. This was the 2nd alternate art that I pulled from Evolving Skies myself. I sent it out for grading, and yes, it got a PSA 10, and yes, it's right behind me, right over here, hanging out with us. It is just a beautiful card. I really like it. Currently at $467, so yes, Gutina at one point was a little bit more expensive, has dipped down, and the Rayquaza from Evolving Skies has taken back the number 2 spot. Obviously, Evolving Skies booster boxes are through the roof right now, so naturally the singles from the set, at least the most rare singles from the set, will be expensive. And I think we've seen 4 out of the top 10 being from Evolving Skies, and obviously the number 1 spot, which will be the 5th card from Evolving Skies, is the Moonbreon. Pretty much has held the number 1 spot for quite a long time now, currently going for $871. It blows the competition away. I'm not going to continue about this one because we all know that it's number 1 and everything. I really wanted to just look at what the movement was with some of the other cards. So I thought I'd make a top 10 video and just go through the whole thing and just finish off at the Moonbreon because we knew it was going to be number 1. But really and truly, I wanted to see what the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places look like. And we do see some changes there with the Rayquaza and the Gutina. Anyways, Moonbreon always taking the number 1 spot, continues to take the number 1 spot, and will probably hold that spot for quite some time. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this top 10 recap of Sword and Shield era. Again, we all know that most of these cards would be in the top 10 with some movement. I just wanted to see what that movement was, which cards are in the top 2, 3, and 4 positions, because there has been some changes. Again, Gutina did move into the 2nd position, but now has dipped back into 3rd, and we could see it probably move even further down because it's back into that 390 range, getting close to some of the other cards. Rayquaza looks like it's going to steadily stick around that 2nd spot, and Moonbreon is obviously going to be out of reach. Let me know in the comment section below what you think the cards between the 2nd and 5th position are going to be in the near future. And if you like this content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. My name's TRV, and we'll catch you next time.